This is the new 4K box set of director John Sturgis's The Great Escape from Arrow Video. And inside this incredible set is a new video essay called Freedom Forged, written by cinema educator Rich Johnson, who you might have seen on the Cinema Force channel before doing master essays on Nightcrawler, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, and of course, Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy. This summer, we were contacted by Arrow to collaborate on this box set by creating a 30-minute essay called Freedom Forged on The Great Escape, with Rich handling writing duties and myself, Erik Clapp, handling all the editing. For both of us, it was a no-brainer, as both of us are rabid fans of this particular film. Freedom Forged was a huge task because we really had a very tight deadline from Arrow producer Michael Mackenzie. And although we can't share it here with you on the channel, unfortunately, we wanted to at least give you a little peek into the process of what goes into creating a cinema essay. Then afterwards, we will bust this sucker open and check out all the good stuff inside. But let's hear from Rich on his process of writing Freedom Forged.
What an absolute honour to work on this project. From my point of view, it all starts on the shelf. So it's pulling books that I've already got in my library. It may highlight some publications that I don't have, but it's always about, within the time frame we have and the parameters that are set, just finding key chapters initially. But really it was about rereading cover to cover Paul Brickhill's original accounts, which I think gives a really good foundation to start with anything, especially if it's based on an original novel. You immediately have something comparative to look at.
For obvious reasons, adventure is a much easier sell than war. Due to the confinement of its players, The Great Escape avoids combat. However, conflict is unavoidable when it comes to the drama of it all, and therefore, it is worth reminding ourselves of what a war movie can be when enclosed in such a way. Stripping away the combat and bloodshed, we are simply left with a period piece, but constantly reminded of the oppression of the enemy.
The other things that we had to adhere to was, I love to reference other films, and I think that's almost unavoidable when you're writing these essays. And in the case of Freedom Forged, from the offset, we were told by the disc producer Michael Mackenzie that we can only use MGM films. So if we're referencing anything, we can only use the films within their library, and obviously by default those that have been inherited from United Artists and the Mirish Company's catalogue. So really that was the start in finding out what I could use before I started to really dig into where I was going to make those references, and then start fleshing out some more thorough notes once I'm on the computer and working on those early drafts. Primarily, for me, it was about educating myself on how great The Great Escape is, digging deep, and hopefully everyone gets that little bit more out of our little visual essay, Freedom Forged.
With a generation of filmmakers, including cast and crew, having a background and knowledge in the events, it reassures us all the more of a deep level of respect, galvanised by personal experience, technical prowess, and the sheer artistry on display.
This new HDR 4K master of The Great Escape is stunning, and it was a pleasure to work on. As Rich mentioned, we could only work with MGM titles in this essay, which presented a few challenges. But luckily, if there was a title that I couldn't find or source, Arrow was nice enough to provide me with a master, if it was available. Whenever I work with a writer other than myself, I like to use trailers when they reference a film because they usually have a nice rhythm to them already. From Kubrick's Paths of Glory to Richard Attenborough's A Bridge Too Far, we use the MGM library to enhance this essay. In one case, Rich mentions Runaway Train.
And finally you! Pieces of human waste!
I'm going. You coming?
In Andrei Konchalovsky's Runaway Train, we are witness to the escape of two convicts, Buck and Manny, played with grit and full force by John Voight and Eric Roberts.
I used the best source I could for the trailer, but compared to the actual film, it just didn't look very good. It was very low quality. So I asked Arrow for some help, and they were able to provide a very nice master, and so I actually went to the expense of recutting the entire trailer shot for shot from the new master, just because I loved the established edit so much. Once I read the script for the essay, I like to establish a tone for the essay, and I base that mostly on the film. In the case for The Great Escape, that tone was seclusion. I started the essay with Steve McQueen in the cooler. I mean, he is the cooler king. Then also, I try to emulate the graphic look of the film by copying the fonts used in the opening credits to kind of make viewers comfortable to accept that this is just an extension of the film itself. Once we were done with our first cut, we presented it to Arrow, and we had to make a few changes based on some things here and some rights issues, but mostly it's pretty intact. From here, I get the final output specs from Arrow, and I export a big 4K file and send it off to them. And then we waited for Christmas, and then suddenly it was on our doorsteps. First off, let's talk about this cover. It's top notch, and it's a stunning piece of new artwork. The second thing I noticed was there's a sticker up in the right corner that says it includes The Great Escape 2, The Untold Story, which I didn't even know existed until Rich educated me on it. And it stars Christopher Reeve as he leads a task force to hunt down those responsible for the murders in the original film.
The execution of 50 escaped prisoners takes a lot of planning.
On the back, you get all the details on the 3-disc set, including an entire Blu-ray of special features of documentaries, interviews, and essays, including our own Freedom Forged. The slipcover comes off, and we have a great feeling box replicating the cover art. Inside, you'll find the 3-disc set with a 4K disc devoted solely to the film, a Blu-ray disc of bonus features, and finally, the 4K disc of The Great Escape 2, The Untold Story. Up next, there is a reversible poster in the box featuring the original theatrical poster, and then when you flip it over, you have the new box set cover art. Very cool, and it's kind of hard to decide which to display, but I think I'm going to go with the classic. And last but not least, we have a book inside, and forgive me if I mispronounce this, Das große Abenteuer, which translates to The Great Adventurer. Inside the book is all sorts of fun stuff about the cast and crew. Essays by Barry Forsall, Neil Mitchell, Wickham Clayton, and Mark Cunliffe. There is also some great information about how the 4K restoration was done. And it's not surprising that this master was struck from two personal prints of the film from the archives of a one Mr. Martin Scorsese and a one Mr. Quentin Tarantino. You can buy this from Arrow UK right now, and the 4K is playable everywhere on all players in the entire world, but the Blu-ray is Region B, so you US Cinepeeps will need a region-free player to see Freedom Forged here in the United States and some other territories. In closing, I'd like to thank our producer Michael Mackenzie, and of course my buddy Rich Johnson for being so easy to work with in such a tight time frame, and I'm very proud of the work we've done together on this, and I'm looking forward to future projects. I hope everybody goes out there and buys this disc because it's just an amazing box set. It's definitely the definitive Great Escape box, and if you're a fan of this film, I mean, what are you waiting for? Just go get it.